It's for Mr. Dietrichson.
I'm Mrs. Dietrichson. What is it?
How do you do, Mrs. Dietrichson?
The femme fatale of the 1940s didn't chase men. She smiled, and they destroyed themselves. Film noir gave us criminals in dark cities. But the real danger was the woman in the doorway, promising love and planning ruin. Today, we're counting down the darkest femme fatale of the 1940s, starting at number 10 and ending with the deadliest of them all. Let's step into the shadows. Number 10, Helen Grail, played by Claire Trevor. Murder, My Sweet, 1944. Helen Grail is dangerous because she doesn't feel dangerous at first. She feels wounded, fragile, trapped. When Private Detective Philip Marlowe meets her, she seems like a woman stuck in a bad marriage, looking for protection. Her voice is soft. Her eyes look tired. She doesn't pull you in with sex appeal. She pulls you in with sympathy. And that's what makes her dark. Helen lets men believe they're rescuing her. She plays on guilt, on pride, on the idea that a good man should step in. But behind that weak front is someone calculating every move. She lies easily, changes stories without blinking. And when violence happens around her, she always finds a way to be standing just outside the blood. She doesn't rush. She waits. She lets others take risks. She lets others pull triggers. Helen Grail represents one of noir's most unsettling ideas. Sometimes the scariest femme fatale isn't the seductive one. It's the one who looks like a victim, because you don't see her coming until she's already inside your head.
I find men very attractive.
Number 9, Kitty Collins, played by Ava Gardner. The Killers, 1946. Kitty Collins is pure emotional poison. From the moment she appears, the movie treats her like a ghost from a better life. Beautiful, untouchable, always just out of reach. Men don't fall in love with Kitty. They become obsessed with her. And she knows it. Kitty doesn't shout. She doesn't threaten. She barely even pushes. She just lets men project their fantasies onto her and then quietly uses those fantasies to get whatever she wants. Protection, money, loyalty, silence. What makes Kitty dark is how little effort she puts in. She doesn't need elaborate schemes. Her presence alone is enough to derail lives. Men betray friends, join robberies, accept death sentences, all because they think Kitty might choose them. But Kitty never chooses anyone. She moves from man to man like a survivor moving across wreckage, never looking back. And when the bodies pile up, she doesn't mourn. She adjusts. Kitty Collins shows the coldest side of the femme fatale. Not rage, not greed, just complete emotional emptiness. Number 8, Bridget O'Shaughnessy, played by Mary Astor. The Maltese Falcon, 1941. Bridget O'Shaughnessy is a professional liar. Every time she opens her mouth, a new story appears. A new tragedy, a new reason to trust her. She cries easily, confesses halfway, then changes the truth just enough to pull you closer. Bridget doesn't rely on beauty alone. She builds emotional traps. She creates intimacy fast. She makes men feel like they're the only person she can turn to. And once they're in that position, she controls the flow of information completely. What makes Bridget so dark is how many masks she wears. Innocent runaway, frightened sister, devoted lover. Each version feels real. Each version disappears the moment it stops being useful. She's not driven by love. She's driven by survival and profit. People are tools. Tears are tools. Romance is a tool. And when she finally tells the truth, it's not to be honest, it's because the truth works better. Bridget O'Shaughnessy is the blueprint for the manipulative femme fatale. She doesn't destroy men with passion. She destroys them with performance. Number 7, Jane Palmer, played by Elizabeth Scott. Too Late for Tears, 1949. Jane Palmer isn't seductive. She's ambitious. Her entire life changes when a suitcase full of money is thrown in her car by mistake. Most people would panic. Jane smiles. From that moment on, everyone around her becomes disposable. Jane doesn't lure men into crime. She drags them. She pushes. She demands. And when they hesitate, she replaces them. She manipulates her husband without remorse. She toys with criminals. She lies to police. She flirts when it helps. threatens when it doesn't. And every decision she makes moves her one step closer to money and power. What makes Jane so dark is her lack of fantasy. She doesn't talk about love. She doesn't pretend this is romantic. This is business. And she's ruthless at it. There's no tragic backstory softening her. No emotional wound driving her. Jane simply believes she deserves more than everyone else and is willing to bury anyone who stands in the way. Jane Palmer represents the femme fatale as a capitalist predator. Cold, practical, and completely unashamed. Number 6, Vera, played by and Savage. Detour, 1945. Vera doesn't seduce. She attacks. From the second she appears, she's hostile, aggressive, and emotionally violent. She insults, threatens, exposes weaknesses. She doesn't wrap her cruelty in charm. She throws in your face. Vera survives by domination. She senses fear instantly and feeds on it. The main character isn't drawn to her. He's trapped by her. She blackmails him, controls him, and constantly reminds him how powerless he is. What makes Vera so disturbing is how real she feels. She doesn't speak in noir poetry. She talks like someone who has been angry their whole life. Someone who learned early that cruelty is a weapon. She enjoys the control, enjoys watching a man shrink under her voice, enjoys twisting the knife emotionally before anything physical ever happens. Vera isn't glamorous. She isn't mysterious. She is raw, cruel survival instinct in human form. And in a genre full of beautiful liars, Vera stands out as something worse. A femme fatale who doesn't even pretend to care. Number 5, Ellen Berent, played by Jean Tierney. Leave Her to Heaven, 1945. Ellen Berent is terrifying because she looks like perfection. She's beautiful, gentle, devoted, the kind of woman people describe as too good to be true. And that's exactly what she is. Ellen doesn't want love. She wants ownership. She wants her husband isolated, emotionally dependent, cut off from family, work, and even his own past. Anyone who competes for his attention becomes a threat. And Ellen doesn't deal with threats emotionally. She eliminates them. What makes Ellen so dark is her calm. Her actions are extreme, but her face never changes. She doesn't explode. She decides, and then she follows through. There's no criminal ambition here. No money motive. Just obsession taken to its most terrifying conclusion. Ellen represents the femme fatale as psychological horror. The danger isn't temptation. The danger is intimacy. Because once Ellen loves you, there is no escape. Only possession. Number 4, Sherry Peatty, played by Shelley Winters. The Killers, 1946. Sherry Peatty is desperation turned poisonous. She lives in jealousy, in resentment, in constant emotional hunger. And when she can't get what she wants, she destroys the people who can. Sherry isn't the glamorous femme fatale of the Killers. She's the unstable one, the one who talks too much, the one who drinks too hard, the one whose emotions spill everywhere. And that's exactly what makes her dangerous. She manipulates through vulnerability, through confession, through emotional chaos. She plays the victim while actively creating disasters. She betrays out of spite. She exposes secrets out of loneliness. She hurts people simply because she can't stand being ignored. Sherry doesn't plan crimes. She triggers them. She is the emotional bomb in the room. And once she goes off, everything around her burns. Sherry Peatty shows the femme fatale not as a mastermind, but as a psychological wrecking ball. Unstable, unpredictable, and impossible to contain. Number 3, Kathie Moffat, played by Jane Greer. Out of the Past, 1947. Kathie Moffat might be the most purely manipulative woman on this list. She doesn't just lie. She rebuilds reality. Kathie reinvents herself whenever necessary. Innocent lover, loyal partner, helpless victim, cold conspirator. Every version is convincing. Every version contradicts the last. And every man she meets believes he's finally seeing the real her. He never is. Kathie weaponizes romance. She creates emotional bonds quickly and then uses them to move money, hide crimes, and escape consequences. Men don't just fall for her. They rearrange their morals for her. What makes Kathie so dark is her total flexibility. She has no fixed personality, no stable identity, only whatever works in the moment. She doesn't care who gets hurt. She doesn't care who dies. She only cares that when the smoke clears, she's still standing. Kathie Moffat isn't passionate. She isn't angry. She is pure adaptation. And in noir, that makes her lethal. Number 2, Cora Smith, played by Lana Turner. The Postman Always Rings Twice, 1946. Cora Smith is heat, hunger, and impatience. She isn't subtle. She isn't slow. She doesn't whisper plans. She pushes them. Cora wants out of her life, out of her marriage, and out of her limits. And she wants it now. What makes Cora so dangerous is how directly she ties desire to violence. Love isn't separate from murder. Escape isn't separate from betrayal. Passion and destruction move together. She pulls men into fantasies of freedom and then demands they prove it. With actions, with risk, with blood. Cora doesn't sit back while others act. She stands in the middle of the fire. And when things go wrong, she doesn't collapse. She recalculates. Cora represents the femme fatale as raw momentum. She doesn't just corrupt men. She accelerates them, turns thoughts into crimes, feelings into disasters. And once she starts moving, nothing around her stays intact. Number 1, Phyllis Dietrichson, played by Barbara Stanwyck. Double Indemnity, 1944. Phyllis Dietrichson is the gold standard. She doesn't look dangerous. She sounds reasonable. She never raises her voice. She never begs. She simply presents an idea and lets men destroy themselves carrying it out. Phyllis doesn't seduce with sex alone. She seduces with logic, with opportunity, with the thrill of getting away with something smart. She flatters intelligence, makes crime feel like a partnership between equals. But it never is. She controls the pace, the secrets, the emotional temperature. And while the men around her unravel, Phyllis stays focused. Money, freedom, insurance. Everything else is noise. What makes Phyllis the darkest femme fatale of the 1940s is how complete she is. She combines charm, patience, intelligence, and absolute emotional emptiness. There is no version of her that isn't calculating. She isn't reacting to the noir world. She is creating it, and everyone else is just collateral. The darkest femme fatale didn't feel like monsters. They felt real. So who's your number 1? Did this list get it right? Drop it in the comments, like, subscribe, and stick around. Because the shadows are full of stories.